My ex cheated on me, got kicked out by her own mom, who then let me live in her house permanently, and now my ex is telling everyone I manipulated her mom and slept with her. I, 27M, was with my ex, Emily, 26F, for nearly 4 years. We met in college through mutual friends, started off as study partners, then became inseparable. People often said we were relationship goals. Emily had this bubbly energy, made everyone laugh, and I'll admit, I was deeply in love with her. After graduation, I landed a stable job in IT, and Emily started freelancing as a digital illustrator. We didn't move in together officially, but I spent most nights at her place, which was actually her mom's house. Her mother, Dana, was widowed and lived alone in a quiet suburban neighborhood. She welcomed me with open arms. From the very beginning, Dana and I clicked. She was kind, supportive, and always treated me like family. Over time, Dana even began referring to me as her second son. At the time, I thought it was just a sweet maternal thing to say. In hindsight, maybe there was more to it. Everything seemed great on the surface, but looking back, I missed a lot of red flags. Emily would sometimes disappear for hours without texting back. She kept her phone locked like it was Fort Knox and would angle it away from me whenever she used it. I tried to convince myself it was just her being private. I trusted her. That was my first mistake. One night, Dana invited me over for dinner, just the two of us. Emily had texted saying she'd be working late with a client, so I assumed it was just going to be a casual evening. We ate, talked, and watched a movie. Around 10 p.m., Emily still hadn't come home. That's when Dana looked at me and said, "Do you trust her?" I froze. I asked, "What do you mean?" And Dana gently placed a manila folder on the table. Inside were printed screenshots, texts, and photos of Emily with another man. Not just friendly stuff. I'm talking full-on romantic and sexual exchanges. She'd been seeing someone else for at least 6 months. Dana had found out by accident, using Emily's old tablet that was still linked to her messaging account. My heart shattered. I'd been nothing but loyal. I felt humiliated, devastated, sick to my stomach. Dana apologized over and over, but I couldn't even speak. Emily came home an hour later, saw the folder, and immediately turned defensive. She didn't even try to deny it. Just said, "You're being dramatic, and it's not like we were married." I walked out. I stayed at a hotel for a couple nights. Then on the third day, Dana called and said, "Come back. She's gone." I had no idea what she meant, so I showed up. The house was eerily quiet. Dana explained that after I left, she confronted Emily and told her she was disappointed and ashamed. Apparently, Emily called her a judgmental old hag and tried to flip the situation. That was the last straw for Dana. She kicked Emily out, told her she wasn't welcome to live under her roof if she couldn't take responsibility for hurting someone who had done nothing but love her. Emily moved in with a friend temporarily. Then came the most unexpected part. Dana asked if I wanted to stay at the house. At first, I said no, it felt too weird. But Dana insisted. She said she couldn't bear the silence, and she genuinely enjoyed having me around. Eventually, I gave in. I didn't have many belongings anyway, and she offered the guest room. What was supposed to be temporary turned into weeks, then months. We developed a rhythm. I helped her fix things around the house. We cooked together, watched shows in the evenings. It was oddly peaceful. Of course, the situation was bound to stir gossip. And sure enough, it did. A few weeks after I moved in with Dana, Emily started telling everyone that I had manipulated her mother, that I was creeping on an older woman to get free housing, and that I emotionally blackmailed her family to feel sorry for me. It didn't stop there. She went around telling mutual friends that I had violated her privacy, stalked her, and even hinted at abuse. All completely false. People I'd known for years started treating me differently. I'd walk into a bar and feel eyes on me. One of my old college friends even pulled me aside and said, "Man, I don't know what's true, but the stuff she's saying is serious." I was livid, but what hurt the most was the doubt in people's eyes. Like they weren't sure whether I was the villain in this story. I confronted Emily once, over the phone, told her to stop spreading lies. She laughed and said, "You ruined my life. I'm just returning the favor." Then she hung up. I didn't want to involve Dana, but she eventually found out. She was furious, not just about the lies, but about the character assassination. She called Emily and told her in no uncertain terms that if she didn't stop, she'd be cutting her off permanently, financially and emotionally. Emily backed off for a while. Months passed. I started rebuilding my social life slowly. Some friends came around once they saw how stable I was and how Dana herself never once changed her story. But the damage had been done. My professional reputation had taken a hit too. I lost a freelance contract because someone mentioned uncomfortable rumors. I started therapy. I needed to untangle the emotional web of betrayal, public shame, and the strange new bond one had with my ex's mom. Dana and I had developed a sort of mother-son connection that, while genuine, was hard to explain to others. Then, one day I got served. Emily had filed a restraining order against me, claiming I was obsessed and living in her family's house without consent. The claim was completely baseless. Dana provided written and verbal testimony that I was not only welcome, but that she had invited me to stay. The court threw it out immediately. That was the final straw for me. I wrote a long, detailed post on my personal blog. I laid out everything, from the cheating, to the folder, to the lies, to the restraining order. I included screenshots with sensitive info redacted, and even a statement from Dana. The blog post went semi-viral among our local friend groups. Suddenly, people started reaching out, apologizing for doubting me. A few people even told me they had similar stories about Emily spreading rumors when things didn't go her way. Today, it's been almost a year since everything happened. I still live with Dana, but not because I have nowhere else to go, because she's family now. I help her with her garden, we split groceries, and we both look after each other's mental health. It's the most stable roommate situation I've ever had. People whisper, speculate, even joke that I'm dating my ex's mom, but it's not like that. She's just someone who saw the truth, stood up for it, and gave me shelter when I had nowhere else to go. Emily? She moved cities. Last I heard, she was telling people I was crazy and obsessed. But this time, people aren't buying it. Too many saw the truth for themselves. The whole experience taught me a lot about trust, about how quickly people turn on you, and about how truth sometimes needs to be defended publicly, even when you wish you could just move on quietly. I may not have gotten closure from Emily, but I found something more valuable: clarity, peace, and the unexpected loyalty of someone who should have had every reason to hate me. Funny how life works. Update 1. I didn't expect to have to post an update, but something happened last week that completely blindsided me. Emily showed up at Dana's house. It was around 6 p.m. I was outside watering the plants when I saw a car pull up to the curb. I didn't recognize it at first, but then Emily stepped out. She looked thinner, maybe more tired, but the moment she saw me, she squared her shoulders like she was walking into a battle. She walked right up to the gate, didn't say hi, didn't ask how I was. She just said, "Is my mom home?" I told her Dana was inside, and that if she wanted to talk to her, she needed to call first like a normal person. Emily just brushed past me. I didn't want a scene, so I didn't stop her. I just followed her in. Dana was in the kitchen, baking like she always does when she's stressed. When she saw Emily, she actually flinched a little. That hurt to see. This was her daughter. But Emily didn't waste time. She launched into this emotional speech about how she was struggling, how everyone turned against her, and how we had poisoned her mom against her. Then she dropped this bomb. She asked to move back in. Dana was stunned. She didn't say anything for a long time. Then, in the calmest voice I've ever heard, she said, "No." Emily started crying, accusing Dana of choosing some guy over her own daughter. Dana replied, "You're not just some girl who made a mistake. You've continued to lie, manipulate, and attack people who try to love you." I just stood there frozen. Emily turned to me, called me a parasite, and said I'd brainwash her mom. It was surreal. Dana told her to leave, or she'd have to call the police. Emily stormed out, slamming the door behind her. Since then, she sent Dana some guilt-tripping texts, but nothing else. I offered to move out, just to give Dana space, but she refused. She said, "I already lost one person. I'm not losing someone who actually respects me." I never expected this to be my life, but here I am, feeling like I'm living in someone else's family drama with no way to fully walk away from it. Update 2. So, things were quiet for a few months after Emily's surprise visit. Too quiet. Until last week, when a mutual friend sent me a link to a podcast Emily started. It's called Burning Bridges. And guess what the very first episode was about? Me. She didn't use my name, but anyone who knows us would immediately recognize who she was talking about. The episode was titled, "When He Sleeps with Your Mom and Gaslights the Entire Town." She spun this insane narrative about how I manipulated her into letting me stay over, charmed her mother, and then slowly took over her life and home. She described me as a classic narcissist and painted herself as the broken, discarded daughter who had to watch her mom replace her with her ex-boyfriend. I was stunned. It was full-on fiction. But the scariest part? The podcast started getting traction. Emily's always been charismatic, and people love drama. I started getting DMs from people I didn't know, some telling me they believed her, others warning me about what she was doing. Dana was livid. She asked me to record my own version to set the record straight. But honestly, I didn't want to play the same game. I didn't want my private life dissected by internet strangers. Instead, Dana posted a public comment under the podcast link on Facebook. She kept it short and polite. For those wondering, the story shared in this episode is not only inaccurate but harmful. I stand by Opie, who never manipulated anyone. My daughter has chosen to rewrite the past instead of healing from it. That comment got more traction than the podcast episode itself. Eventually, people started to see through Emily's act. One former friend of hers even made a reaction video exposing her history of lying with screenshots. It went viral locally. Her podcast started losing steam. But the fact that she tried to weaponize public sympathy like that, it shook me. This wasn't just personal drama anymore. It was reputation warfare. Update 3. Final update. After the podcast stunt and everything that followed, I decided to consult a lawyer. Not because I wanted revenge, but because I needed protection. Emily had crossed into defamation territory, and while I wasn't looking to sue her into the ground, I did want to send a clear message that her behavior had consequences. My lawyer drafted a cease and desist letter outlining the false claims and the public damage they had caused. We sent it to Emily through her official podcast email. She never replied directly, but within a week, her podcast episodes were gone. Her social media went silent. A few days later, she posted a vague, mental health break message and disappeared from the internet. It's been a few months now, and there's been radio silence from her side. As for me, I've decided it's finally time to move on, in every sense. I've accepted a job offer across the country and will be relocating in the next few weeks. Dana cried when I told her, but she understood. I promised to stay in touch, and I will. I owe her more than I could ever repay. Living with Dana taught me a lot about trust, loyalty, and the kind of love that has nothing to do with romance. We built something meaningful from a place of pain, a strange but beautiful kind of family. I don't hate Emily anymore. I just feel tired, like I've carried her chaos long enough. Letting go feels like reclaiming my own story. To anyone dealing with someone who rewrites the truth and tries to turn the world against you, you're not alone. And you don't have to sink to their level to win. Sometimes surviving is the victory.